Take it away.
Hey, welcome to the broadcast. And I absolutely apologize. We had a little bit of technical problem here at the beginning to start. Really, it wasn't a technical problem. It was my problem. I apologize. Hey, I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Wrote the book, High Profit Prospecting, but more importantly, Kurt Shaver, LinkedIn Guru, is on the call also. Kurt, jump in.
Hey, Mark, how's it going, man? I am looking forward to talking about how LinkedIn plays into the whole high profit prospecting methodology. In fact, I've been studying up, man. I got my book here right there, and I've been studying those chapters.
That's good. Hey, let's jump right into it, because before we got connected here, you shared with me a really cool insight as to how people can use LinkedIn as a prospecting tool. Walk through for everybody. What's the strategy behind that? What's the process? Because it was really cool.
Yeah, so there's two ways to get prospects on LinkedIn, right? You can either do outbound prospecting, which salespeople are used to. That has to do with things like growing your network and introductions and referrals and all those things salespeople are used to. LinkedIn is just a new tool for doing it. And then there's the completely new aspect of it, the content side of it, that idea of sharing content to raise your visibility and credibility and to actually attract customers to you, have them seek you out, right? Have them come to you because they recognize your expertise in an area. And so the content beat, that's the social half of social selling. That's the new piece. And I think you're referring to the prospecting technique that I mentioned around content, where if you're looking at content on your LinkedIn homepage and it's relevant to your industry, right? Whether your topic is information security and healthcare organizations or supply chain management, or it might be restaurant supplies, whatever you happen to be providing. If you see a piece of content that's getting a lot of traction in terms of likes or comments, then I always advise my clients to go in. You can actually expand and to show the people who are liking something and the people who are commenting on something. And that is a great prospecting, because if people are actually putting effort into liking or commenting something that is in your wheelhouse in terms of content, then you want to see who it is, because a lot of times there's prospects in there.
So let's walk through how this would work. Say you're into supply chain management. You'd find some discussions around supply chain management, and then what? Walk through real quick.
Yeah, well, it's really simple. There's a button there that'll say 65 people liked this, and you can actually click on the thing that says 65 people liked it, and it'll just show you a list of the 65 people. And as is common in LinkedIn, it'll show you the 3 pieces of information that follow everyone around on LinkedIn. So it shows their profile photo, it shows their name, and it shows their headline. Now, luckily, most prospects don't know that their headline should actually have a customer-oriented benefit statement. Sellers are learning that. But most prospects just have their title in there, right? So it'll say VP of IT at Cedars-Sinai Hospital. Boom, there you go. If that's your prospect, not only did you identify somebody new, but you might have seen either that he liked it or something he commented on, which gives you a great, door opening, rapport builder to start off a conversation.
See, you know what? I really like that, because there's a tweet that I love to use. # social media without social connection is social stupidity. And too many use, you like that, don't you? Too many people use LinkedIn just to throw stuff out. They post these things and They think the phone is going to ring. It's not going to happen. You've got to really engage people one-on-one. But you can't engage them around a selling piece. You got to engage them around a knowledge piece of something that is in their wheelhouse. So that's why that whole subject matter expert.
Right.
You know what? To pick up on what you shared, there was a deal back here a few weeks ago where I was doing really that exact same thing. And there was a gentleman, and he was only identified as the CEO of a company. And it didn't really say what the company was, but that's okay. But I went ahead and I reached out to him, sent him a LinkedIn message, and shared with him some additional content on some things. He got back to me a couple hours later, and it was very interesting. But over the course of the next week and a half, we exchanged LinkedIn messages probably about 5 or 6 times in total. We never took the conversation to the telephone. We never took it to email. It stayed right on LinkedIn. But you know what was very interesting? After it's all said and done, he connected me with their VP of marketing. And guess what? I'm doing business with them now.
There
all
you go.
because of that exact strategy. So it very much does work. Yeah. Do you recommend that people have to have a paid, buy one of the premium levels?
My response to that is if if appreciable amount of their time is spent prospecting, hunting, right, for the sales hunter. If an appreciable amount of their time is spent prospecting, then it's worth it to have one of the many LinkedIn premium versions, because it just turns on so many more features or deeper visibility on features that you have in the free version. If you're an account manager, you've got a set list of accounts, you're really in a relationship role. It's not quite as valuable to get those extra prospecting. You're really going to get a lot more traction probably from some of the engagement and content related activities on LinkedIn, and you don't need the premium versions to do that. So again, it really comes back to if they're a hunter, I would say yes. You're a hunter. You're a hunter.
Hey, I am the sales hunter. Here's something that I share with people. The most valuable asset you have is your time. It's not what you sell. It's not the price point. It's not the features. It's not even that stuff. It is your time. And if buying a premium level of LinkedIn will allow you to use your time more effectively, then do it.
Right.
I find too many people are, hey, wait a minute. If this helps you get 2 or 3 more prospects, which ultimately allow you to close one more deal, then I think it makes sense. Now, this is what I find very interesting. And I do this strategy, and I encourage this. And again, if you don't have a paid level, you need to be looking more frequently.
Right.
But for instance, I have a paid level, so I can see everybody who has accessed my profile. If I'm not connected with them and they are anywhere close to my wheelhouse, I reach out and I want to connect with them. Because there's a reason why they looked at my profile.
Yeah. I like to use real world offline analogies a lot, right, in the LinkedIn world to help people relate. And for that particular process, some people say, "Oh, is that creepy or something?" If you reach out to people that looked at your profile, and my response is, they started it. No, it's not creepy at all. I mean, to me, it's like if I owned a mattress store, right? If I owned a mattress store and somebody walked in the door of my mattress store, is it creepy for me to assume, "Oh, can I assist you in picking out a mattress?" I mean, they walked in my store. And to me, if they're looking at your profile, that's akin to walking in the store, right? They initiated some action to sort of check something out. So to follow up with them, to me, is completely natural. And everybody should do that.
Yeah. Hey, how many groups, or what are some types of groups? Because I know I've got some very definitive ideas, and I know you've got. Why don't you go first in terms of sharing what are the types of groups that you feel people need to belong to?
So I think people need to belong to 2 types of groups, right? The first one that's going to be the most attractive to people are groups that are made up mostly of your prospects, because that's obviously where you're going to get business. So if you sell to VPs of marketing or engineering directors or hotel property managers, whoever you happen to be, you want to be in those groups that's made up of a preponderance of those folks. Might be trade associations, might just be interest groups created on LinkedIn from scratch. So those are prospect heavy groups. And then there are also peer groups, like for you and I, that would be speakers, for example. So peer groups are just great places to get knowledge, not necessarily business, but to actually get knowledge and answers. So, a perfect example is I might go into the National Speakers Association, which we're both members of. I might go into their LinkedIn group and say, "Hey, what software are people using for online courses? Or what software are people using, to do webinars and things like that?" And there I can actually just get answers from my peers. And again, it's back to your saving a lot of time idea.
Yeah. Now see, I take that and I expand it a couple more ways, because I say there's 4 types of groups and they fit into your 2.
Oh, you're going to double me. All right, let's hear it.
I'm going to double down on you. Yeah.
Double dog dare me.
Now, Nick is already saying LOL because he likes the mattress analogy. So anyway, I say there are 4 types of groups to belong to. One are your peers, just like what you said, because those are knowledge based. 2, I love belonging to alumni groups of schools I went to and so forth, because there's a natural affinity to people like that.
Yep.
3, I want to belong to groups where my prospects are going to be. That's those VPs of sales. That's those, and the 4th group is really going to be local community business groups, Because again, even though I sell nationally, I sell globally, and most salespeople do, don't overlook sometimes those local opportunities.
Yeah, those are good. And, you can join 50 LinkedIn groups. You can't be active in 50 LinkedIn groups. Well, not that and hit a quota.
Well, yeah. I tell you what, that's the whole thing. In fact, I belong to a lot of groups. In fact, rules for a lot of people are really up to 100 groups that you can belong to. But I really only actively participate in 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a question that just came in from John. Can you post or share content to a group? All members of the group. You're the LinkedIn expert. Run with it.
So there's a couple caveats on that. Yeah, in general, you can post and share content into a group, right? It doesn't go to them like as a direct message in their email, like if you sent it directly to them. It's more akin to how it's going to show up on your home page, right? But a lot of groups have very strict rules. Probably one of the biggest ones, there's a group probably we're both in, sales and marketing executives, over 500,000 people in that group. And as you can imagine, the possibility for spammy salespeople to ruin that group is very high. So the manager of that group has a very, very strict policy. Not only can you not post anything self-promotional, you cannot even post any hyperlinks in this one particular group, as those would many times be promotional. So again, some groups are, and this all comes down to the group rules that are set by that group manager. So there's a technical answer, which is yes, and then there's a etiquette answer, which is it depends on the rules of the group. Depends on what that content is.
Yeah. Hey, here's something that I like to do, talking about pushing out content. I love to take links that I may be looking at a news site, might be CNBC, might be WSJ.com, might be Bloomberg or something like that. And I see an article, businessinsider.com is a site I just love.
Yep.
There may be a great article, and I'll go to their social share buttons and I'll share that to LinkedIn. And I like doing that. I'll do that maybe even 3-4 times a week. And the reason I like doing it is because it's always fascinating to hear or see, who shared it, who liked it, who looked at it. And again, I've used that as a way to get into some one-on-one conversations. Again, I'm so to speak pushing out social media, but I'm doing it to create social connection one-to-one, because I want to find people. And it's not creepy, because again, I've had some great conversations with people who respond to something, and I'm not selling. I'm not trying to sell them. What I'm doing is I'm trying to connect with them on that subject matter, and we have some great dialogue and so forth. And it's been amazing that over the months and over the years, how many of those have ultimately turned into great business partners, great clients, great referrals. Again, but it's cultivating, because that first word is social. You got to be social.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And again, it all comes back to that word engagement. I think at the end of the day, as a salesperson, a business development person, business owner, whatever role you're in, the real trick is to create an identifiable brand that, people know what you stand for, right? I'm a LinkedIn sales expert. You're the high profit prospecting effort and high profit sales expert. So whatever your area of expertise is, you want to just make sure your market understands that you've got a strong brand, and then they'll seek you out, right? So that's kind of the key to all of these elements when it deals with the content side.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, Steve jumped into the online discussion that's over there on the dashboard. He said Kurt's best reason for joining groups is you get access to InMail for everyone in that group. Have you used that approach before?
Well, I got to put a caveat on that, because LinkedIn really severely limited that in the last year. So that used to be one of the best sort of like secret backdoor messaging vehicles within LinkedIn. The fact that you could send a direct message to anyone in a group that you were in. And they started dialing that back significantly about a year ago, and I'm not even sure what it is now, but at one point it was down to you could only use that little trick like 15 times a month, right? It used to be infinite, and then last year it went down to 15 times a month. So it's really sparingly, because obviously the motivation is LinkedIn wants to bump people up to the premium version, where you can get that same feature through the InMails. You can
Right.
message anybody with InMails, but of course you got to be on the paid version. So I think they realized that that was sort of a back door that was maybe preventing some people from upgrading for that LinkedIn InMail benefit, and severely dialed it down. So you can do it a little bit, but not too much.
But you know, I found that InMail, and I'm gonna call this out. InMail is not as effective as really LinkedIn would like to say it is. I have many times not had success using InMail. It just doesn't go anywhere. And actually, what I found is many times I just take that person's profile and I Google it, and it's amazing. I can pin down the company, I can pin down, and if I want to reach out to them, I can go ahead and reach out to them directly by way of the telephone. Mm-hmm. So I don't hesitate to use LinkedIn, but you know, LinkedIn as a tool to help me get there. Now, the piece that people say, well, why don't you just go to their contact info and send direct? Yeah, but you know what? Most people have a Gmail address. Mm-hmm. I mean, right. I use a Gmail address for a lot of things, and right. You know what? I really don't check my Gmail account that often. So, you know, it just doesn't happen. Yeah. What are some other techniques? What are some other strategies that you've seen that really work for people from both a prospecting and then after they've prospected to really pull them through to really get them to being a customer or client?
Well, again, let's just go back to some really basic sales techniques there. We kind of glossed over a little bit of the networking piece of it, but you know, the search mechanism in LinkedIn is incredibly powerful, and it's searching 450 million business professionals, right? So it's a huge database. It's updated with fresh information that we all voluntarily update ourselves. And there's some great search engines there on it. So you can absolutely come in and pinpoint. I mean, if you're, trying to sell to HR directors of pharmaceutical companies in Western New Jersey between 1,000 and 5,000 employees, right? You can exactly find those 125 folks that fit that exact profile. So it's just like a laser filter in to find the people that you want. And then if you can overlay that with your second level relationships, you can find which of those people do you have somebody in common with that might be able to introduce you to, or maybe you're just going to drop their name. But again, that getting the introduction or name dropping maybe a couple common connections is so powerful to just get you that precious 5 seconds if you're calling them on the phone, or even if you're sending them an email as your initial outreach, right? Just to have that commonality of a couple common connections. Maybe it was somebody that you helped that was in a similar role that you could refer to. So that's one of the most powerful ways. Again, it comes back to that relationships and your network.
Hey, some great comments that are coming in on the discussion board. A couple people have talked about InMail and how it's not that effective. And yeah, I like I said, I agree with that, because InMail really just goes out to that email account.
Yeah, whatever
you've got assigned to it. So if it's a Gmail,
yep,
they're not going to see it. One person asked, how do you identify LinkedIn members who have chosen open profiles and then write to them? What I always do is I just go look at their profile, and depending on how they have it set up, many times they have their contact info right there.
Yeah. Well,
and
yeah.
I just reach right out to them.
Right. Yeah. To sort of flip that a little bit, let's talk about the seller side. As a seller, you should absolutely have, because people only see the contact info when they're your level one, right? You can't just look at anybody's contact info. So sort of the flip side of this equation is, if you are a seller, then you absolutely want to have your preferred contact methodology, right, in your summary, right up front, really early on, right? Hey, contact Mark at, email Mark at, something like that, right? Because again, if they're not connected to you, but they come across your profile, again, it's just like an advertisement. You want to have an easy call to action, not like, oh, this guy looks good, but I don't know how to get a hold of them.
Yeah. Hey, somebody else asked, Steve asked, I upgraded to Sales Navigator yesterday. Can you give your feedback on the paid level?
Yeah. So Sales Navigator is the ultimate highest version of the premium LinkedIn versions for salespeople. It is incredibly fantastic. It does a handful of things that none of the other products do, and I'll mention a couple of them that are very powerful. The first is it's a great listening tool, a social listening tool. So you can identify your top prospects, either people or companies, right? You flag them and say, I want to put these people in a watch group. And it's kind of like Google Alerts, except it's on LinkedIn. So if you identify your top prospects or companies, LinkedIn will continually search and see what those people or those companies have posted on LinkedIn or on the web. Not other social networks. It's not going to say what they do on Twitter and Facebook, but it covers LinkedIn and the web. So anything that pops up about those people in terms of identifying trigger events and rapport builders, very valuable. So as a social listening tool. The other thing that I do, which is that Sales Navigator does, which is it's a real fine little niche, but super valuable, I think, for most sellers. You know, our friend Craig Elias is really big into the trigger events. This is a fantastic trigger event. So there's a filter within LinkedIn Sales Navigator. When you search for people, again, let's go back to this example. HR directors, pharmaceutical companies, New Jersey, 1,000 to 5,000 companies. You come up with 138 of those, okay? So there's 2 extra filters that you get in Sales Navigator. Number 1 will say, how many of those people are new to their job in the last 90 days, right? Because LinkedIn knows that because everybody tells it when it updates a job. Now think how valuable that is, right? If you're trying to dislodge an incumbent and the prospect's been there for 15 years and he was the one that made the decision, that's pretty tough. If that person just got fired and a new one came in and they're resetting everything and reevaluating everything with an open mind, much better chances, right? So that's a great value. And the other one that it'll tell you is, of those 138 people, how many of them have posted something on LinkedIn in the last month? So that gives you an indication that they are active on LinkedIn, and you're probably going to have a much better chance of reaching them through something like InMail than people that aren't looking at their LinkedIn account.
Yeah, because unfortunately, about 40% of all LinkedIn profiles are not actively used. I mean, you know, hate to call out.
Well, I don't even know if it's that, because in the statistics that came out when Microsoft bought LinkedIn, LinkedIn claimed like 430 billion members, and it said 105 or 25% or what they called monthly active users.
25% active. Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you a really cool search technique that I love LinkedIn for. Say you're trying to get into a company, okay, and you don't have any ability to find out who at that company you should be talking to. I was working with a company recently, and this was a strategy we used, and it worked great. What I did was I said, okay, let's go out and find the recruiters. Let's go out and find the recruiters for that particular company. Again, by using Sales Navigator, by using the search, we were able to find who are those recruiters. And it's amazing. Recruiters will always respond. Why? Because they're always recruiting.
Right.
And it was amazing, but we were able to immediately get connections with them and get on the telephone with them. Now, this is, you got to be mindful that the recruiter is looking for people. So you got to be willing to help them. But every time we did this, it was amazing how we found out incredible insights from the recruiter. Now, double down on this secret strategy. The recruiters were more helpful when they didn't work for the company. Mm-hmm. When they were third-party recruiters.
Right.
They were more helpful in sharing information. Now, we had to share information with them, but I'll tell you what, it was a powerful tool that enabled us to get right to that, minimally, the department we needed to be at, if not the specific decision maker. Oh, and by the way, the specific decision maker with their phone number.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't, some people poo-poo, oh, I don't want to be connected with HR people. I don't want to be connected with the recruiting community. But I'll tell you what, they can be very valuable. Again, depending on the type of sales that you're into.
They always have the biggest networks. Right? I've been selling 33 years. I've always thought it was a benefit to know recruiters, right?
Right.
They have the big networks, and this is a network world, and things like LinkedIn only make it more so. So that's a great strategy.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of additional comments coming in talking about that whole 25, 40%. What is that number? Because there's a lot of people who are saying that they've sent comments out to people and they never hear anything back from them. Yeah. You know what's kind of funny is that I find many times, and again, this is a strategy I've used, that you may not be able to find the perfect decision maker that you're looking for, but you're going to find their lieutenants on LinkedIn. Yeah. And many times what you do is you got to go through their lieutenants to get to get to that decision maker.
Right.
I know a gentleman, he was VP of procurement for about a $25 billion corporation. Pretty good size, okay? He was not on LinkedIn. He was not on any social media. Why? Because he didn't want to be bugged. Because he knew by his title and everything, he didn't want to be bugged.
Yeah.
So, but people knew in order to reach him, you go through the lieutenants, and they will get you in up there.
Well, on that subject, I was just talking with a friend of mine about kind of this idea in a selling context, and it really has nothing to do with LinkedIn. It's just selling context. But, you know, the idea is that, you know, everybody always talks about C-level. It depends kind of what you're selling and what the size of the company is. Like I can tell you, I've been hired by companies that have 10 salespeople, and I've been hired by companies that have 2,000 salespeople. Okay, when I get hired by companies that have 2,000 salespeople, a manager can hire me, right? A manager calls me up, they got the budget, they can hire me. If they got 10 salespeople, it's usually the owner. So something between a manager, you know, so in between there, you got a director, a VP, a C-level person, eventually an owner. Depends on the size of the company and what kind of a budget they have, and really what you're targeting. So you don't always have to be at the C-level.
That is a great point. It's one of the points I bring out in my book, that, you know, we all want to get to that C-level, but is that is it really the right strategy for it? And yeah, you got the book, hey, and you really have to evaluate it. It's funny, Nick just wrote, I may have to reevaluate my policy of not connecting with HR. I love it. This is good. So it says that we're delivering some content that is really hitting home. Hey, we've only got about 6 minutes left or so on this.
Yeah.
What should people be doing on their profile?
So, you know, the easy things on the profile, the first things you got to do is get a professional looking headshot, right? No extra people, dogs, pets, Eiffel Towers, Christmas trees, you know, horses.
You can't take the wedding photo shot and no. Okay.
No. So get a headshot. Re-engineer your headline so that there's a customer-oriented benefit statement, right? Don't say senior account executive financial services. That doesn't really mean anything, right? You want to say, hey, I help IT professionals at financial services companies, you know, secure their data and protect, you know, valuable information or something like that. So you want to have a headline in there. The other thing, we already talked about having contact information in there. And also, I'm a big believer in having customer recommendations, right? Not recommendations from your peers or your boss or your mother, but customer recommendations, because not only can you use them on your profile, but you can use them in emails, you can use them in proposals and things like that when you capture good customer recommendations.
Hey, Jeff just sent in a comment, and I love it. LinkedIn is not Facebook. Be professional. Hey, Jeff, send me an email. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm going to send you a copy of my book. That was gold.
Awesome.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes.
Because it is. I get tired of something. It's not Facebook. LinkedIn is professional. Yes, that's good. That's good. Hey, you know, something that I found that a lot of people get themselves into trouble. Not into trouble, but they get overwhelmed by. I always say LinkedIn is a tool for me to use when I want to use it. I don't want to be bugged by it. I have my settings turned off on all updates. Mm-hmm. I don't want to receive any updates from any groups at all.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you belong to a lot of groups, and I know you belong to a lot of groups. You can get those daily updates and so forth, and it just drives you nuts. So I go up into settings and I turn off all those updates. Period. Yeah. Cool. Hey, what's one or two more really cool nuggets? This is great. Boy, I tell you what, the chat board is lighting up. After we get done here, in fact, can you hold on? A couple people have asked, they joined late. Yes, this is being recorded. We will push the recording out to everybody. You'll hopefully have that here within a couple hours. And second, hey, if you want to join this discussion offline, can we take it over to Twitter? And, you know, Kurt, what is your Twitter handle?
It's just Kurt Shaver. Very clever. Very cleverly.
That's very clever, very original. Mine is at The Sales Hunter. And hey, if you want to use a hashtag to get everybody in the discussion, it's hashtag high profit prospecting. Hashtag high profit prospecting. So Kurt, give us a couple more. I'm going to run through the comments that are coming in. Maybe there's a question or two that we need to. answer in there?
Yeah. So I say for the more advanced people that are listening, you definitely want to start moving to take advantage of LinkedIn's long form publishing. That's the feature on LinkedIn that allows you to publish blog-like articles. Now, again, I realize creating original content is not for everyone. It's not for, every salesperson really doesn't have the time or maybe the skill set to do that. But if you feel that you do, then the LinkedIn platform is a tremendous way to do it. I mean, there's a built-in audience of 450 million people, right? And the right people that you're writing for will find you. So that's certainly one thing to take advantage of. And then the other thing that I would say is a big area of LinkedIn is just understanding how you can amplify content and messages that you can get involved with. So one of the things that I do quite frequently is if I'm either sharing or creating a piece of content, and I know there's 5 or 6 people in my network that also are going to have valuable opinions about that topic. Mark, you've probably collaborated in a number of these, right? I will send it to them, and I'll say, hey, I just posted this thing on LinkedIn. I really like to get your comments on it. Now, there's 2 reasons for doing that, right? One is, yes, I do generally want to get the comment of some other expert on it. But the other sort of, selfish reason is, guess what? All these people have big networks, and when they comment on it, all of their connections are going to see it, something that originally started with me. So it's a way you can kind of prime the pump to help your things go viral.
Cool. Hey, this is great. Kevin wrote, not only is LinkedIn not Facebook, but it's also not Match.com. Okay, now we're getting really creepy here, so that's good. But you know what's funny though? Think about this. Your mindset is different when you're in LinkedIn versus when you're in Facebook. Yeah. And I think this is why people say, let's keep LinkedIn professional. And again, I can make very professional comments. And I love taking posts that I see other people do, and I share them with my audience. And again, it's a great way that I've created a lot of one-on-one discussions. And again, social media without social connection is social stupidity. Now, we had said we were going to run this about 30 minutes. We're just a little bit over that time. Oh, hey, Jeff wrote a great comment. I got to read it here. Long-form posts should be original and not duplicate from your regular blog post. Avoid duplicate content search engine penalties. Yeah, you know what? That's huge. And I'll tell you what, Google and everybody's really clamping down when you sit there and post that same article. And again, that's social spamming.
Right.
But I take blog posts, my popular blog posts, we tweak them, we rework them for a LinkedIn audience, and we do put them out there on LinkedIn Pulse.
Right.
And again, I found it to be a great way to engage with the people. Hey, we gotta wrap this up. Now, You are where on LinkedIn?
You mean what's my location?
Yeah, where can people find you out on LinkedIn? Kurt Shaver?
Yeah, just Kurt Shaver. Yeah, just Google Kurt Shaver, type Kurt Shaver into LinkedIn. Any of those things, you're going to find me. Would love to get an invitation, a custom written invitation. Say,
custom,
hey,
thank you. Bingo.
I get a lot of invitations. Please say you heard me on the webinar with Mark Hunter. And again, we're gonna give everybody an offer if they want to do my boot camp in September. So if you mention that, I'll make sure you guys get that offer.
Hey, talk about the offer for your boot camp, because I'll tell you what, it really does take LinkedIn to the next level.
Sure. Yeah. So most of my work is with companies, and I do this 4-week boot camp where they learn how to upgrade their profile, grow their network, learn how to find new prospects and attract them with content. And once a year, I do a public virtual version. So if you're an individual or you're a small team and you just want to jump into this virtual session, I do one once a year, and I'm doing one September 14th. So we decided we'd make a nice little promo out of this, and I'm going to give any of the listeners here not only an opportunity to save $50 with a coupon, but I'm also going to give them a copy of High Profit Prospecting, right, if they use our little secret code here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll put it there in the chat.
Yeah, and I apologize. Yeah. I didn't get the code here. Oh, there's the code right there. Yeah. That's the code.
Yeah. There's where you link. There's the link, and actually just put in the code HPP. And
can you put that code back up there?
What? Yeah. You know what? Oh, I'm looking at that. Actually, that's the link. Sorry, the code is HPP. Right, that's the code. So go to the link, you go to that code HPP, and they get $50 off. And I probably
to get a copy of the book. Hey,
Yep.
this has been absolutely terrific. Connect with me out on LinkedIn. Now I'm going to have to, I got to do a disclaimer. You're only allowed 30,000 connections. I'm at 30,000. So all you can do is follow me, but you can follow me. I've got about 86,000 followers. And so anyway, hey, love to connect, love to dialogue with you, but we have to do that by way of the following thing. But anyway, let's take this discussion over to Twitter also, hashtag high profit prospecting. And it's at Kurt Shaver or at the Sales Hunter. That happens to be my handle. Kurt, say goodnight to the folks.
Great, Mark. Sounds good. Thanks for putting this all together, man. We'll see you soon.
You're great. Hey, Mark Hunter, great selling.